It's nice. Thanks, man. I got several girls in my household that would agree. Call to order the meeting of mayor and council. If you will rise for the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, we just give you great thanks and honor for the privilege to serve our city in this way. May our service be an act of worship to you. May we honor you with everything we say and do. And with that, we ask this all in Jesus' name. And everybody says, amen. Amen. Remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May you be seated. Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, you've all received the minutes from our last meeting. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to receive the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
Councilman McCoy, I'll second.
Councilman Coy, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, it's unanimous. Okay, tonight we have Mrs. Tricia Newcomer going to come up and introduce our newest employee.
Good evening.
Good
evening.
It's my pleasure this evening to introduce our newest employee, Sierra Snyder. She is a proud graduate of Seaford High School and a recent graduate of Penn State Altoona with a communications degree. So she started last Monday. She'll be working with us part-time in the role of the marketing assistant. So we're excited to have her.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to see what I'll do here in the next couple of years.
Awesome.
Normally we would, do you want, I think maybe we should skip the whole, we're going to do the bump the elbow? Okay.
Yeah. She good with that. Welcome back.
Welcome, welcome. So Sierra's going to be a big help when it comes to our IT department and pushing out information. If some of you will remember when we started our high school internship, Sierra was one of our first to come up here to the city and work through all the departments. So she is familiar with the city and I think we're very fortunate to have her here. So we're glad to have her on board. All right, do we have any correspondence?
No, sir, we do not.
All right, first under new business number 1, we have S&L Contractors to extend their preliminary site plan.
Okay, so as council is aware, the city has a phasing policy and a sunset policy to where site plan approvals that this body gives are only good for a period of 2 years. You do have in your package a letter of request from S&L Contractors who is asking to extend their preliminary site plan approval for the R3 high-density residential portion of the Governor's Grant subdivision. And there's a slide in there, if you could just advance it for us.
Before we go to the slide, I do want to make everybody aware we have lost our video feed, so we just have audio right now. So
Okay.
if we're talking about something on the screen, let's try to be specific so people that are listening understand what we're,
Thank you, sir.
what we're speaking to.
All right, so this is an aerial view of the Governor's Grant development there off of Atlanta Road. And we've highlighted there what would be the southeast corner of the property. It's about 7.35 acres. That was annexed back in the early 2000s as part of that entire development. Part of the development is R1, which is where the single-family houses are. This piece is high-density residential, which permits garden apartments, townhouses, things of that nature. They have gone through our process a couple different times since in the last 10 or 15 years, and they are now at the end next month of their 2-year date. So they are asking to extend that preliminary site plan approval for 2 years, which is the maximum that our policy permits. And it would be good until March of 2023, should City Council decide to do that. I'll make one other comment, that we have a 3-step process: sketch plan, preliminary plan, and final plan approval. So this being a preliminary plan approval does not give them permission or the rights to do any construction. They have to go through final plan approval, get approval from the Fire Marshal Conservation District, other agencies having jurisdiction, as well as the city. So you would see this again for final plan approval if the developer decides to push that forward in the future.
Okay, are there any questions from council?
So,
Councilman Holland?
When is their plans for us to start building, or?
They don't have any yet.
Okay.
And we have met, Trish and I have, Economic Development Director, have met with some people potentially interested in the process, in the parcel, but again, they would have to take it through final plan approval. It would probably be at least a year out before that would start.
Any other questions or comments from council? Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there, do you have a sketch, or do you have a copy of the preliminary site that we're to look at,
Not
to make an approval on?
Not this evening, no. This is just a request to extend it. There are no changes to the plan that was reviewed in 2019. This is just to keep that approval alive and current for another 2 years. But certainly, if you would like us to bring that back at the next meeting, we can table this, and I'll have the building official come and bring the plan that was approved, if you would like to see that.
My concern is that there have been, there's been a code change since this was submitted, and to be fair to the developer and to the council, many of us were not at the last meeting. I personally was absent at the meeting where this was put forth, and there were several members of council who were not even on council at the time. So I think that I would like to have more information, and I think that it's only fair to the developer that he understand that there have been code changes since he was approved. So if a motion were sought, I would make a motion to table and gather more information, because I don't think that we're armed with enough information to make a fair judgment.
Councilman Henderson, is your concern that if the developer saw the changes in the code that they may not want to move forward?
No, I think that he may have to adjust
Sure.
his plan, and to be fair, you know, we're under, the code changes are for less, or for more open space and more or less dense, or less density.
Right.
There are some other conditions that will have to be met that he would, I mean, I would gladly you know, I want to see the project done, but I think that he may not, I mean, he's not represented here tonight.
Right,
I can't ask him if he understands that there have been code changes. So,
right.
to approve it or not approve it is not really fair, and we don't even have a drawing to look at to know what it really looks like.
And I guess at this point, all we know is they want an extension on their current drawing.
Yes, sir. This is the letter that was asked, and this is in accordance with our policy, but certainly should council desire, we can have the site plan that was approved preliminarily at the next meeting, and we'll reach out to S&L contractors and ask for a representative from that firm to be here in attendance in front of council to answer any
Yeah,
questions.
before we do that, let me see if there's any other questions from council.
I just had one. Mr.
Councilman
Mayor.
King?
Yeah, thank you. So, Charles, can we talk a little bit about the R3 high density? Again, what's that approved for? If I understood you correctly, there was no changes in the original plan, so the R3 has always been approved for that area?
Yes, sir. When this land was annexed, it was annexed with two zonings. R1, which is where the single-family homes are built, and then R3, which is the high-density portion in this drawing, the piece that's highlighted. R1 is single-family homes. That's what it's permitted for. That's by right, under the zoning ordinance, that's the only thing that you can do without some type of variance or something like that. In R3, you're allowed to do higher density residential, like apartments, townhouses, things of that nature.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that- is that-
Yeah, it does, yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are there any other questions, Councilman Henderson?
I do, and it just left me that quickly. But the thrust of it is that, yeah, I think there's no way for me to know if Mr. Phillips knows that there have been code changes and that he understands that there's a high possibility that he may have to make changes. And I can't, Mr. Bailey's not here to comment on whether they are,
Understood.
the current plan fits in with the new covenants, or, and Mr. Phillips is not here, so that's
Right.
information that I would like to have.
All right, I understand. Are there any other questions from council? If not,
Oh, It did come back to me that it was March 26th, 2019, so we're not up against the
right.
time limit. We have time at the next meeting to maybe afford Mr. Phillips to come and explain his position, or,
Okay.
and have Mike show us the existing plan.
Perfect. Okay, if there's no other questions, I will accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, Dan Henderson here. I make a motion that we table this item for a meeting in the future so that we can have more information presented to make an informed decision on this matter.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have Matt McCoy, Councilman McCoy, second. Are there any questions on the motion? Okay, with that, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
And Councilman King?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll table that, and city manager will work on bringing that back forward at the next meeting or
Yes, sir.
following meeting as soon as we can pull it together.
Yes, sir.
All right, next on under new business, we have the appointments of election officers and Board of Elections, and we're going to invite Tracy up, our city clerk, to sort of walk us through this and make sure we're clear and answer any questions.
Good evening.
Good evening, Tracy.
In your package, you will see that there is a memo that shows the election officers as well as the Board of Elections, as well as the staff assistants for the day of the election. Just for some clarification, you guys will probably remember that we did a charter change, that was a recommendation that came forward by our Board of Elections from last year, that we clarified the names of the two different boards. So just for informational purposes, the Board of Elections, which it's being proposed, that would consist of William Mulvaney as the chair, George F. Stewart, and Matthew Reed. What they would do, they would basically, their duties would be to oversee the election process, as well as the absentee ballot process. They would receive complaints, and if there are complaints received, they would hold a public meeting and hear those complaints. If there is not a need for an election due to unopposed candidates, they will declare the election, announce the results of the election, and they can audit the election records and certify the winning candidates. The election officers that are being proposed tonight are Rick Peterson as the inspector, Virginia Hastings, Pastor Isaac Ross, Alice Messick, and Scott Pickenpaw. And what they will do the day of the election is conduct the election process as far as run the machines, check people in, make sure they're registered on our books. The chief election officer will be the inspector, which is proposed as Rick Peterson, and he will determine all challenges that come up the day of the election or any other issues that may occur. And they will prepare the polls for voting and conduct the election machine verification. That they work with Department of Elections on that. You will also see, you may notice that the proposed posting, so what you see in your packet as far as the election officers and the Board of Elections, that is what will be posted here on our notice boards and our websites. And you may notice that that looks a little different than it has in years past. And I have had some correspondence with the election commissioner, Anthony Albanese, and I just wanted to verify with him what would be needed as far as information to post all of these individuals and what would need to be posted requiring the law. So he came back with an email that is also included in your packet, and he gave provided us with a couple of examples. One was from City of Newark and one was City of Dover. After discussions with Charles and I, we thought that it would be best to mimic the City of Dover postings. That way, all correspondence will come through myself as a liaison member, but that will also, this information is valid for a year because it's a year term, which we just went through that code change. So that way, if someone were to move or if someone were to have a change of a phone number, we wouldn't have incorrect information that would be posted out there. So if it came through to me and I email it out or mail it out and it comes back, then I have a way to say, to get in contact with them in another way. All of these individuals have agreed to serve, and they are willing to assist.
Okay, are there any questions in reference to these nominations to these two committees? If there are no questions, I'll accept a motion. Thanks, Tracy.
Councilman Howell, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve appointments for the election officers and the Board of Elections for the 2021 municipal election as presented.
We have a motion from Councilman Holland. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Santos seconds. Are there any questions on the motion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
And Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, next we have the tax appeals process. We're going to have Ms. Kathy Anger come up and present. Thank you for being here, Kathy.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
I just have a simple request. Every year we give the residents of the city of Seaford a chance to come in and appeal their taxes. And so we need to set those dates. I've reached out to our tax assessor, and he has the dates of April 13th available, and he's going to allow, from the 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And he also has May 11th available to come back and present his recommendations.
So tonight, we're just approving that date and time, correct?
Just approving those dates.
Okay. Are there any questions for Ms. Anger in regards to this? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request from Kathy Anger, credit manager, to set formal real estate tax appeals to City Council for April 13, 2021, from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. as presented.
Okay, so that's a motion for April 13th, and I just wanted to look up. That's May 11th for the follow-up meeting as well. Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman King seconds. Are there any questions on the motion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
And Councilman King?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, do we have any old business?
No, sir, we do not.
Reminder of meetings, please.
Yep. Tomorrow night, there's an annexation committee meeting, February 10th, 7 p.m. here in council chambers. And that meeting will be live streamed, and there is the agenda posted. So that's the only one that we have, sir.
Okay, we have an election.
There is a municipal election on April 17th, 2021. There are 2 council members' seats up for election. Mr. Jeff Benson has filed for city council, and Councilman Orlando Holland has filed for re-election as of this date.
And if you're going to run for the election, you have to be filed by
The 28th,
28th,
26th, thank you. It's the last Friday of this month.
last Friday of the month. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you all. All right, we'll start with committee reports. We'll start with Councilman Santos with administration and IT.
Thank you, Mayor. My report has been submitted in its entirety. The city met with city engineers regarding the Sussex Highway EID and PER for the proposed sewer installation project. They also met with Maria Hazel with the Historical Society to discuss the potential pavings of the Seaford Museum parking lot. As far as IT report, they prepared departmental IT budgetary items and shared with directors and supervisors for the budget process. They do this annually. IT tracks the necessary renewals, replacements, and certain necessary subscriptions for all IT needs of each department, as well as provide additional budgetary numbers when their departments face projects with IT needs. They installed new printers and setting up office stations for Sierra, and they attended DMEC Cybersecurity Roundtable. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, and our IT is working on the video as we speak, right? So, thank you for your hard work. I know that's frustrating when it doesn't work. All right, next we have Police and Fire, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 reports this evening. The first one from Chief Wilson of the Seaford Volunteer Fire Department. Alarms to date as of 2/5, 0900 hours. 77 calls to date, averaging 1.9 calls per day. EMS calls are 422 to date, 62 calls for February alone, and that averages 11.7 calls per day. Total calls year to date for 2021 is 499, averaging 13.8 calls per day. There were 2 significant fires to report, one on Chestnut Lane outside of the city. There was a working fire contained to the attic, and that was on January 31st. On February 1st, the next evening, there was a fire on Pennsylvania Avenue, a working fire that was contained to the first floor interior and exterior, and it was a chimney fire. All units are in service. Under EMS, the new ambulance B87 is online at the manufacturer, and it's scheduled for a July 1st delivery. The next training will be on February 27th at 1900 hours. They'll be doing forcible entry training, which if you get an opportunity, you can watch them bust a door down or tear a door off or do some other things, do some damage. So.
Use their tools.
Yes, yes. Under events, there's a nice effort by the department. They, not just by the department, I saw on Facebook where they had a parade for a gentleman at Laughlin Life Care, Mr. Manili, to celebrate his 100th birthday. They had quite a parade, and the fire department participated in that, as well as a number of other folks throughout the community to celebrate his birthday. There is a Delaware Firefighters poster and essay contest going on for grades K through 8. And the entries arrived to the Station 87, and they'll be judged and sent to the county level by February 18th. As I mentioned in the last report, there were nominations for officers in the department, and they are official now. I'd like to welcome Captain Logan Wolf, Captain Harry Mulrine, Captain Patrick Gaskin, Lieutenant Scott O'Reilly, and Lieutenant M.J. Butler. The Delaware Department of Health quite wisely opened up second vaccinations for COVID-19 to first responders and including Seaford Volunteer Fire Department. So those vaccinations are underway. I think they started yesterday. Chief Marshal Kraft of the Seaford Police Department has quite an extensive report. The incidents from 2021 year-to-date are listed, as well as 2020, 2019, and 2018 statistics for you to compare. There's a number of, the criminal summary is there along with the crime view stats showing the distribution of crimes through time of day and the day of the week, followed by drug complaints and traffic. They're stepping up their traffic contacts, and you'll notice if you compare between the reports that those contacts have been increasing. There are a number of significant events that have been listed. There was a repeat burglary on Hurley Park Drive that is of concern because it was the second time this particular home had been broken into. And under training, the department's busy with training. Master Corporal Kyle Linville attended a certified firearms instructor's course for over 40 hours in the period. The chief co-constructed a community policing block to Dover Police Department Academy recruits, and Tyler Justice was recertified in ALICE training, which is alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. This type of training is for institutions and schools. It's offered throughout the community for large businesses, institutions, and schools. Not to be too repetitive, but there's a number of a number of events here. The police department also participated in the 100th birthday of Mr. Manili, as previously mentioned, and our recruit that's at the Dover Police Academy currently participated in the Special Olympics polar bear plunge, where recruits from the Delaware State Police Academy and the Dover Police Academy did a virtual plunge. I think the Dover Police or Dover Fire Department sprayed them down with water while they did their plunge out in the parking lot doing push-ups. So that was their contribution to the polar bear plunge in lieu of going to the beach this year and running into the water. So the chief has listed some 2021 initiatives. So these are some things that you can look at for look towards for the next year or for the coming year, which includes integrated body-worn cameras and in-car cameras. There is a request for proposal out that is due by the end of the week, or due the end of the week. Benchmark analytics, and which monitors internal affairs, use of force, community engagement, officer activity, evaluation, and training. And a diversion program, which is for pre-arrest, substance abuse, and overdose in persons in crisis. It's an effort to to intervene and direct people with mental health issues. And the chief plans to compete for a grant to fund this program. And the chief has a vision for a police chief's advisory board, which would contain community stakeholders and address quality of life issues in the city of Seaford. So there's a big chunk of stake on the chief's plate, and he's very ambitious and want to do what we can to support him in these efforts. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we'll go with Councilman Holland with Code, Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Seaford Code Department. Rental inspections are being scheduled, and violation inspections are going on throughout the city. All the work is routine, and site work is to start soon on Wawa's, no set date. And we'll switch to Parks and Recs. They have worked along with electric department to use the wood chipper to reestablish walking trails at Williams Pond and pick up excessive trash at Cedar Avenue Railroad and Williams Pond Park. And to decorate the Gateway Park with red ladies and red bows in support of Park Month. And all the work is routine. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we'll have Electric with Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hit a few highlights from the report. Over the last few weeks, the crew have chipped some brush in Williams Pond Park for Parks and Recreation. They set a new pole and transformer for the Verizon antennas on Delaney Street. The crew also participated in the birthday parade that Councilman Henderson spoke of for Mr. Manili, I believe his pronunciation, who did turn 100 years old. The crew also cut down the tree in front of the Nanticoke Senior Center. As for the director, he worked on the FY22 budget, had his council liaison meeting, held a staff meeting, and worked with Tracy to get a bid package out for streetlights. Over the next few weeks, goals will be to continue to work on Muirfield 1 Phase 2B so they can continue building, pull the wire and set transformer for the AUI building, and to continue to change the lights on Sussex Highway to LED. Mr. Mayor, there's a few highlights. The report's been submitted in its entirety.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, we have Public Works and Wastewater Treatment. Councilman King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report has been submitted in its entirety. I'm just going to hit some of the high-value activities that's going on throughout our community. I'll start with the Public Works Department. No parking signs have been installed on King Street. The Manor House lift station pump has been fixed. They had to pull the Adobe lift station pump twice for a clog. They've advertised bids for the PD repaving. The Public Works Department, once again, the team is working extremely hard to have an open position posted, and they have 2 people out on medical. I'm going to jump over to the wastewater treatment facility and compost. Everything is running smooth with the additional county flow, so everything's going well there. Plant performance remains good. They have compost for sale by appointment. And some of the activities that are going to happen over the next 2 weeks, they're going to repair the water main service leak on Harrington. They're going to pull and rebuild the Manor House lift station pump. They're going to pull and rebuild the retirement living lift station pump. And they're going to continue to repair cleanouts on the smoke testing list. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. I just, on behalf of all of us, want to thank the staff for being here tonight to present. You make it easy, and we appreciate you being here. And Sierra, welcome aboard. We're excited to have you. So with that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilman King. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Coy, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, case unanimous. Thank you. Good night.